What is the purpose of fasting? Why would you go about depriving yourself of something? Is it for others? Are you doing it to be seen by others? Are you doing it to show how righteous you are before your neighbors? Jesus is trying to get at the heart of fasting and what we should be thinking about when we're fasting when he talks about fasting in Matthew chapter 6, verses 16 through 18. Let's read what he says. Starting in verse 16, when you fast, do not look somber as the hypocrites do, for they disfigure their faces to show others they are fasting. Truly I tell you, they have received their reward in full. But when you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face, so that it would not be obvious to others that you are fasting, but only to your Father who is unseen, and your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. So here we go again. Jesus is talking about some type of spiritual discipline. And a spiritual discipline is something that we do in order to get closer to God. He's talking about this discipline of fasting, and he's talking about the same type of things he's talking about when he talked about prayer, about the importance of doing it in secrecy, the importance of doing it with the right intention. Are you doing it to be shown or to be seen by others like these hypocrites are doing here? The point of fasting is humility. And Jesus is addressing humility all throughout these verses. And first of all, he talked about the humility that these hypocrites are trying to show. They're trying to show their humility by looking all ragged and not looking clean. They're trying to show, oh, I'm so humble. I am fasting. I am righteous. But Jesus is making it clear that, hey, that's not true humility. That's some false humility. So first of all, he's addressing this humility that the hypocrites has. Then he talks about what humility looks like in fasting. And humility, what it looks like is washing yourself, taking care of yourself, brushing your hair, brushing your teeth, drinking water. If you've ever fasted from food, I'm pretty sure your breath starts to smell because maybe, I've done it and I think your breath just smells. So you got to drink water to make sure that people don't know. And just take care of yourself. So this is a way to do it in humility. And lastly, the major point of fasting is humility before God. So to do this effectively, you got to have humility before others. You got to have humility before yourself, taking care of yourself. And you got to have humility before God. This is effective fasting. If you don't keep humility in mind, you're not fasting appropriately according to what these scriptures are saying. Nobody needs to know what you're doing. This could be something between you and the Lord, because that's the purpose of it. So why fast? Let me give you 3 R's to think about. You fast to be reminded who God is, to be reminded of how much you need God. And the same is the case with prayer. The same is the case with reading scripture. All of these things can help us understand how much we need God, can remind us of our need for God. Secondly, we fast to be refreshed. This world can really do a number on us. Even right now with Corona and all these things happening in the world, we need to be refreshed. We need to be renewed constantly by the Lord. And he can do this through our fasting. He can do this through our prayer. He can do this through our reading of the word. We can do this through serving too. God can refresh us through our service to others. And lastly, we do these things to be remolded, to be remolded. In the beginning, we had perfect communion with God. And when I say the beginning, I mean Adam and Eve. But that was distorted with sin and our selfishness. So when we're fasting, we're trying to get back to that communion that we had in the beginning. We're trying to remold our hearts and our minds to a place of that communion that we once had. So this is the fruit and the benefits of fasting. So the information is with you now. What are you going to do with this? What are you going to do with this new understanding of, or maybe refreshing understanding of fasting? Are you going to fast? Are you going to make it a priority in your life? That's your decision. We'll talk about this more in the Instagram live session at 10 o'clock. So we'll see you then.